Consistent polling says 70% of the American people think that we're headed in the wrong direction. So again, when politics breaks, what often happens is social movements rise up. And what I learned in the research on this book, The Great Awakening, is that again and again and again, these movements have spiritual foundations. Always. So I knew something of these movements, but I didn't know as much about the fire, the religious fire behind them that made them possible. I learned this. The church historians tell us that spiritual activity, spiritual renewal, conversion, doesn't get to be called revival until it has changed something in the society. So, if faith cures your addictions, wonderful. If it heals your relationships, mends your marriage, thanks be to God. If it puts your life on a new track, praise the Lord. But until it changes something in the society, they don't call it revival. So this book was about how times in history happened when faith changed big things, like the abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, child labor law reform, and most famously, civil rights. So faith becomes the catalyst for social movements, and I learned becomes the preservative for those same movements. So my favorite probably is Charles Finney, 19th century preacher, the Billy Graham of his day. Finney was an evangelist and an abolitionist. So he actually was the one who pioneered the altar call. And the reason why, he wanted to sign up his converts for the anti-slavery campaign. That's why he used the altar call. And then, of course, Louis talked about William Wilberforce. This young British parliamentarian got caught up in the Wesleyan revival. He was like a young Barack Obama type. And he caught fire, and he led the battle against the slave trade. He put forward that bill 9 times. To overcome slavery took 30 years. And when it finally happened, Wilberforce died 3 days later because his work was done. You saw the movie Amazing Grace, but the movie didn't portray the prairie fire that swept the UK that made Wilberforce possible. It's not just great people, it's movements that make things change.